Hey, it's Tricia, the knitting lady. Downtown. Well, I live downtown, but I went a couple blocks in near the river, and everything's under construction. Everything. Now, I don't know if you can see. It says the Cotton Exchange. That's where my favorite bookstore used to be. Unfortunately, it didn't survive the virus. See where it says Two Sisters Bookery? That's where my favorite bookstore was. It hasn't been rented out yet. I think it's been vacant for at least 9 months. I'm not even sure. But I prefer small bookstores than going to Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble is so impersonal. Hi again, I'm home. Let me try to straighten this camera out a little bit. I had gone down to have a pizza. That's my lunch. That's all I need for lunch. So I need to walk. It's a beautiful day out. So that's how I get my exercise. I have no problem walking. Thank you. Thank goodness for the time being. You never know. So let me talk about trivia, and then I'm gonna just show you some of my yarn. I'm not going into one of the bigger containers because we're going to run out of time. So today's the 4th, 2021. It's the birthday of Patricia Heaton. She was born 1958. I think she was on Everyone Loves Raymond. Not sure. Rick Perry, 1950. I think he was a basketball player. And on this day, 1933, FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, was inaugurated as the 32nd President of the United States, pledging to lead the country out of the Great Depression. My father was not a fan of FDR. He felt he created the war. We got into the war because FDR's plans to get us out of the Depression were not working. So what do? You start a war. But that was my father. And also on this day in 1918, the first cases of the Spanish flu, what came to be known as the Spanish flu, appeared. It was called the Spanish flu because most of the countries wanted to keep it quiet, and Spain went ahead and started reporting on it. And unfortunately, it got stuck with the name. They don't know what caused the flu. To this day, they still don't know what caused the flu. And we lost 700,000 people in the United States. It mostly attacked young people, young men. And believe it or not, athletic men, according to what they were saying. My mother lost her father, my grandfather, and her brother to the flu. They died in 1919. She was born in 1917, and they died when she was 2. My grandfather had worked for the phone company, and he was one of the people, the linemen, up on the poles, putting in the lines. He had recovered from the flu, but went back to work too early and got it again. And unfortunately, he didn't survive. And then her little brother died as well. So my grandfather's name, there's a lot of Thomases in my house. My mother's father was Thomas. And her little brother was Thomas. My father is a Thomas. And my brother is a Thomas. So, very common name in my family. Mary as well. My sister was Mary. Patricia, there's only one Patricia. And mostly Irish family, except, my paternal grandfather was German, but there really weren't. I think I have one cousin, Patricia, and she was born after me. But Patricia, not a real common name in our family. Thomas, yes. Also Mary. And my maternal grandmother is Jane. So my middle name is Jane. So that's a little story. But they died when her father and her brother died when she was 2 years old. And her mother was left to raise my mother. So that's the story with that. It was the flu, yeah, it's over 100 years ago. You know. And I still don't know what caused it. So I'm going to go into my category with my yarn, larger needles needed. I usually do not like thick yarn. I don't know what this is doing in here. That's not. So I don't have too much of it. This I bought at a yarn fest. It's only 200 yards, and I was going to make towel out of it. It's got different textures. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's made in the United States. I really prefer yarn that's made here, to be honest with you. That's why I like to go to Yarn Fest, because a lot of it is hand spun from the actual sheet they have. Now, there's a place in New York. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. In Queens, it's called Smiley's. You can find them online, and they have sales twice a year, like a warehouse sale. What they did before the coronavirus, they would rent out a hotel room in New York City and have a big sale. And last time I went, before I moved, everything was $1 each. So you could really find some nice yarn. I bought 10 of these, and they came in a packet. It's yarn art. It's called Harmony, and it's got various colors, but if you put them all together, so all together it's 874 yards, practically 875 yards. So eventually I will make something out of that. And this, I bought a Smiley's too. It's Dolly. It's called Dolly. It's made in Turkey though. And there's not a lot of yardage to this. I have it written. See, I have everything written. Size 10 needles, 140 yards each, times 5 of them, 700 yards. I thought that was pretty. Now, this is, I know a lot of you have heard this yarn before. It's Patton's Metallic. I had bought a whole bunch of this, and I made something. I didn't like the way it turned out, so I tore it out. And I don't know how many yards I have. I did, see, I wrote it on here. I have 1,008 yards, so I can make a top out of that. And this yarn I bought, I can make a placemat out of this. I bought this so I could dye it. So I did dye 2 of them, and I forget what I made out of this. I made the pink, and it's almost like lavender. I have 2 more I can dye. You can make a placemat. And then there's just a couple odd balls. So that's my larger needle category. I'm not big on bulky yarn. That's about it. But I wanted to show you this magazine, Stitch by Stitch. Now, I was trying to find a year on this. This really dates me. They had put this out in the supermarket weekly. I don't even know I have all my issues. I have them over in between book stands, I guess. Bookends over there. And it features, it's a step-by-side guide to sewing, knitting, crochet, and needlework. And it was $1.50 each. And they had some unique patterns. Now, as you can see on here, there's a pocket shawl. That's popular. This is, I had earmarked this top. And there was a fest in here, I think. I had put this in with my thicker yarn. I just saw this before. But it's from 1982. Now, where did that go, that vest? Oh, there it is. See? So it starts out simple, and then it gets more complicated at each issue. So that was it, Stitch by Stitch. And it was put out by Marshall Cavendish. I don't even know if they're around anymore. In fact, this is even before we had websites, because how to order, they have an address in here. There's no website at all. So, I mean, talk about dating me. Yeah, it's originally from Marshall Cavendish Limited. Originally, it was from England, but they used to sell in the supermarket. So that's about it. I have nothing much else to report. I have to get to work. I work different hours. I had a meeting before. That's why after the meeting, I said, I'm going to get a slice of pizza. But I still miss my old bookstore. She used to have authors come in and they'd sign your books. I have a couple signed books. Mostly local authors. See, Arthur. I can't even talk, see? Every day I have something I can't pronounce. So that's about it. Tomorrow I have off. I think I'm going to do road trip. Just to get out of the house. I'm like a gypsy. I get antsy. I have to go somewhere. So I hope everybody's having a good day, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.